welcome to part 4 and the final part of the Expansion Blueprint series. This is going to be an exciting session, but I want to get real for a second, right? 1 year from now, you'll be in one of two places. You will be exactly where you are today, which is still waiting, still wondering, still hoping, or you'll be light years ahead because you decided today that you were going to do something, that today you were going to change. But the question I want to ask you is, which one will it be? Because if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that most people, they don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they hesitate, because they don't take action when they should. They wait, they overthink, and they tell themselves, I will do it later. Tomorrow is the right time, someday. And then later becomes never, right? How many times have you said, I'll start when I have more time? Or I feel like I just need to be a little bit more ready. Or, maybe next year when things settle down, then I'll start. But if you're honest with yourself, right, has things ever settled down? And the answer is probably no. And the truth is that it probably won't. I've said this before, and I probably said this in the last 3 weeks, which is there is no perfect moment. There's no someday. There only is now. What you do today, what you do right now, the action that you take, that's what's going to make the difference between who you are today versus who you are next year, who you are 5 years from now. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop waiting and to start executing, which is what a lot of us want to start doing. But I can guarantee you this, right? Even with all the tools and all the systems that I'm going to give you, you already have everything that you need to succeed. Every single thing you have, single thing that you need is already in you. You have the ideas, you have the skills, and you have the ambition. You just maybe need the system, you need the exact plan, and you need some accountability so that success is inevitable. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to delve into, thinking about no longer waiting. We're going to talk about the 90-day expansion blueprint, and then the exact steps that will turn your vision into reality. But the whole premise behind today is starting now. As usual, this is not just another training, and I don't want this to be just another motivational session, right? This is the final session. This is where we take everything that we've learned and then we really turn it into action. But before we get going, I want to say thank you. Thank you to those of you who have journeyed with me for the last 4 weeks. It has been enlightening, to say the least, and I hope that you have taken at least one thing from these sessions that you are already implementing. And then today is the big day that we're going to take action. So let's do this. No more waiting, no more hesitation, just expansion. If you're ready, let's do this. Before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping rules, right? As usual, this is meant to be interactive. So put in the chat, if you have questions, put it in the question section. We'll take it from the question section and we'll move it to the chat. We'll take it from the chat, move it to the question section. If you have any, if there's just anything that you want to ask, any way that you want to participate, I want this to be super interactive. I want you to get as much from this as you put in. Also, I said this before, for the early birds, grab a sheet of paper, grab a pen. Right now in the handouts, we should have put a handout that you can follow along today. So, but if you don't have access to the handouts or to print it out, just go ahead and grab a sheet of paper, because the more you write, the more you actively participate, the more you'll get out of this. And then lastly, I would love feedback. So if there's something that you want to learn, if there's something that you want to take away for our next sessions, just let me know. As you join the community, go ahead and use it as an interactive session, and then so that we can continue to give you value, to continue to serve you better. So most people they'll spend about 86,000 hours working in their lifetime. Yes, you heard me say it right, 86,000. That's 10 full years. But the real question I want to ask you is, how much of that time really feels like your dream life, right? And I know there's some really young people on the in the webinar tonight. So maybe you might not understand what 10 years feels like. But for some of us who have worked for a good portion of our lives, right? Imagine 10 full years working. I want to make sure that that time that you're spending feels like you're building your dream life, feels like you're doing something that is worth it. How much of that time is spent doing the things that fuel you, the things that excite you, the things that expand you? I want you to think about that. Or is most of it spent in that same cycle? Wake up, work, survive, repeat. Wake up, work, survive, repeat. Is that the same cycle that you're living? I want to tell you that waiting for the right moment to finally build the life that you're dreaming of, you don't have to wait for that forever. You could start today. Think about today as the ending of your waiting period and the time to start living. But before we jump in, right? For those of you who haven't been here for the last 3 weeks, I'm just going to give you a quick recap of what we learned from each session. They didn't build on themselves, but they were 4 parts of the puzzle, 4 pieces of the puzzle to help solve our big puzzle. So I want to rewind back to part 1, right? Which was breaking the success trap. In that session, the big take home was that we learned that many high achievers, they live what look like really successful lives, but deep down on the inside, when no one's looking, they felt stuck, unfulfilled, exhausted. And a lot of us felt that way. Why did we feel that way? Because we were following a script that society gave us, right? So whatever that is, like that plan that we were supposed to be, that woman, that man that we're supposed to be, that's what we were doing. But we were not designing a life of true expansion, of living a more fulfilled life. You know, if you thought about it, which we talked about session 1, like how many people do you know who really have it all but are still unhappy? And if you were honest with yourself, that number is a good bit. And that's because they never stop to ask themselves, what do I really want? What do you really want? We learned that the real enemy of success is not failure. It's actually complacency. It's not doing the thing that you're supposed to do, and it's staying in your comfort zone. And that first session, we learned that your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Wait, but we don't want that, right? And that's what we learned. We realized that like success without fulfillment felt like failure, and that we have to stop chasing external validation and start building really a life that excites you, a life that excites me. And that was the biggest shift that we took away. It was moving from this achievement driven success to like an expansion driven success. So a more fulfilled, a more expansive life. And if we left that session asking ourselves this question, right? What has traditional success cost you? What has it cost me? Was it time? Was it freedom? Was it happiness? If you left that session and you did the work, then you got real and you asked yourself those questions. And the more that you worked and the more you answered them, the more likely you were to figure out how to break free from that success trap. And then in part 2, we covered that painful reality where most people are trading their time for money. And in that game, you never win because we only have 24 hours in a day and you still have to sleep. You still have to do the things you love while you still have to work. And that's what we talked about, right? We talked about the time money trap, where that endless cycle of working harder, earning more, and still feeling like it's not enough. And the problem with that is that if your income is tied to your time, like I said, you will always be limited to how much time you work because our time is finite. So we came up with a solution, which if you remember, those people who were here, we talked about leverage, right? We introduced the 3 expansion vehicles. So we talked about to expertise monetization. So being able to turn your knowledge into assets. That's what we talked about. So we talked about, courses. We talked about doing coaching. We talked about speaking. And I want you to know that it's a lot simpler than you think, but it's what are you good at that you can then hone that skill, because that area of expertise that you have, someone else is lacking and you can give them value. And then we moved on to talking about systems and automation. So how you can build repeatable processes so that you're not constantly trading your time for dollars. That's another thing that we talked about. And then the last thing we talked about is investing. So having your money work harder than you do, having your money work while you sleep. That's another thing that we talked about. And the shift from here was moving from being the worker to being the architect of your life. So not just working the daily grind, the 9 to 5, but really being able to architect your whole life. And so you design a life that makes money without really sacrificing your freedom. That was what we honed in on in part 2. And then part 3, we went deeper. We went beyond money, we went beyond success, and we went into something that felt even more important, which was purpose. But here's the truth that we kind of took home last week, which was that without purpose, all the money in the world won't satisfy us. So we explored how when you combine passion with structure, you get prosperity. And it's no longer enough to love what you do, but you need a system that allows you to do what you love while still being able to generate wealth and impact. I think for me, probably session 3 was my favorite, because if you spend time figuring out what you're passionate about and then tying that into your purpose and the impact that you really want to make, then success is inevitable. Like, it's going to happen. You just have to be consistent. You just have to put in the work, and it's going to, like, you will be successful. So in part 3, the best way I can simplify what we learned is that your unique skills and your experiences combined with your purpose can lead to prosperity. And then we talked through impact driven businesses and investments and how those create long-term fulfillment. And at the end of the day, we landed on your purpose isn't found, right? It's designed. And so we took that time to really design what your purpose is and then how you can implement that into your life. And one thing that I forgot to tell the participants last week, or whoever came, was that your purpose it's not necessarily one thing. And your purpose can change over time as you evolve. So what you do or who you are, it's not stagnant. It doesn't stay the same. And as you grow and as you evolve and as you learn, your purpose might change. And so then you then align that with your passion and your impact. So the question isn't what's my purpose? What is my purpose anymore? The question is, like, how can I build a system that lets me live out that purpose? So in a nutshell, that's what we learned in the past 3 weeks. And today, I wanted us to be real for a second and ask ourselves, what is waiting costing you? There's a study that was done that said 92% of people who set goals at the beginning of the year, they never followed through. So we talked about this a little bit towards the end of the year, and a different statistic said it was 82%, but the one I did research and I found that it's actually 92%, and they never followed through. Do you want to know why they don't follow through? It's not because they don't want to change, because everyone wants to be better. It's not because they don't have enough talent or they don't have enough resources. It's because they think that they have time. And the truth is, they don't have time. I want to tell you something, right? The number one regret of successful people in their later years is not failure, but it's never taking the risk to expand because they thought they had all the time in the world. The time that you think you have, that is a lie. And today, I'm going to prove that to you. It's already February 6th. Yes, it's February 6th. January 2025 is already behind us. You may have set goals at the beginning of the year, and maybe you may have fallen through because maybe they may have fallen through because you thought, I have the whole year. But just like that, it's 6 days into February already. And before you know it, it's going to be summer. So when you think about what's really costing you, it's this idea and this illusion that you have all the time in the world, but you don't really. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to do something right now. Just trust me. If you've been coming along for the last 4 weeks, I think you can trust me now. But I want you to close your eyes and imagine it's 5 years from today. With your eyes closed, I want you to think about two scenarios. The first one is nothing has changed. You're still stuck in the same patterns, working hard, feeling exhausted, feeling that nagging pull that you're meant for more, but you never acted on it. With your eyes closed, I just want you to pause and think, how did that make you feel? If you didn't like it, if you were uncomfortable, if it brought you a level of discomfort, I want you to think about that. I want you to understand how you're feeling. And I want you to remember that. Now, imagine instead, with your eyes still closed, it's 5 years from now, and you made one radical decision today that changed your path, that changed the whole trajectory of your life. You stopped waiting, you started expanding, and you built a life that you couldn't stop dreaming about because you took one decision today. What's different? How did that make you feel? Do you have a big grin on your face right now because you're like, yes, I did it. Yes, I made the decision. I took that first step. I will tell you this, right? And you can open your eyes now. One of those versions of you is real. In 5 years, one of those versions will come to pass. The question that I want to ask you today is, which one are you choosing? In 5 years, would you have wanted to make that one decision today that changed everything? Or would you have just said, I said I'll do it someday. I said I'll do it tomorrow. I said I still had time. And then 5 years later, you're still in the same spot. Here's the truth, right? We all have something that we've been waiting on. We have something that we have been pushing off, whether it's starting a business, whether it's investing, whether it's finally prioritizing your health, or maybe it's leaving a job or ending a toxic relationship, or maybe it's writing a book, or even launching that dream that has been on your heart for years. There's something that you've been putting off, there's something that you've been waiting. If we are very honest with ourselves right now, right? Which is what I want you to do. I want you to be completely honest. And I told you to grab a notebook. But if you have a notebook or a worksheet, I want to challenge you to write down one thing that you've been waiting for too long. And if you are bold enough, toss it in the chat. What is that one thing that you have been putting off that you're like, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it someday. I'm going to do it next week. I want this to be the last time that you ever write down someday. I want this to be the last time that you ever say tomorrow. Because at the end of this, what we're going to do is that we want to turn it into right now. That is our goal. So I really am hoping that you are challenging yourself. You showed up tonight, right? You wanted to do this. You wanted to take the time. So I want to empower you to really write down that one thing. This could be the one thing that changes the trajectory of where you're going, what your next 5 years can look like. Like I said, if you want to be bold, share it in the comments. I said this last week, and I probably said this the upper weeks, but you being bold and courageous and putting it out there to the world, whatever it is, whether it's a struggle, whether it's a win, you are encouraging someone else on this webinar to take action. You're encouraging someone else on this webinar to do the same thing, to encourage someone else. So as you sit, right, I want you to really think about what is that one thing that has been on your heart that you've been pushing away for too long, that you're saying, today is the day. Today is the day I'm going to take action. Today is the day that I'm going to start something new. This is what I know for sure. Every person here who has ever built a life of freedom, of wealth, of impact, they have faced that same moment of decision. And they had two choices that they had to make. Do I stay comfortable and keep waiting? Or do I make the decision to expand no matter what? Do I make the decision to be uncomfortable? I told you in the beginning that your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. So what are you going to do today, right? Are you going to decide to expand, or are you going to keep waiting? So I'm going to ask you this. Today, it's a lot of reflection and a lot of taking action. But which version of yourself is going to walk out of this webinar this evening? Which version of yourself is going to walk out of this session today? That's what I want you to think about. Because if you're ready to stop waiting and finally build the life that you keep dreaming of, then I want you to be excited. Because the next section, we're going to talk about really how to break through, like what steps you need to take, what mindset shift needs to happen for you to start this movement. Okay, so if you're coming alongside with me in this journey that we're taking of no more, right? We just did something really powerful. We called out the biggest dreams that we've been waiting on. Now I want you to let's figure out together how to finally make it real. This is the thing. If you're going to write something down, you should write this, right? Or you should think this, you should remember this. Success does not happen by accident. To live an expansive life, it doesn't happen by luck. Every single person that you admire has created this incredible life by following a pattern. And that's exactly what I really want to share with you today. There are 3 steps to massive transformation. And if you follow them, you will expand in ways that you didn't even think was possible. But first, you have to start with decision. You have to start with making the decision. You have to start with saying, today is the day that I'm saying, forget it to playing safe. Forget it to being comfortable. Forget it to waiting till tomorrow. This is the day that you decide to take action. It has to start with a decision. And I want to make something really clear, right? The hardest part of transformation is it's not doing the work. It's making the decision. It's saying, like, I'm going to start today. I'm going to send that email. I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I'm going to write the table of contents. I'm going to write my outline. It starts with making that decision. And most people think that they struggle because they don't have enough time, or they don't have enough money, or they don't have enough confidence. But the real reason why you haven't been successful, you haven't taken the leap, is because you have not decided to change. Hear me. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more information. You just need a moment of decision that changes everything. And why don't you make today that moment? Why don't you make right now that moment? That's what I want to empower you to think about. That's what I want to empower you to say. Today is the day that you're going to make that decision. Let me tell you about someone who made a line in the sand decision and changed everything. I was fed up. I was working a version of 9 to 5, knowing that my purpose was bigger than just the hospital. And it took me a while, but one day I made the decision to change everything and to do something about the fact that I was too comfortable. I was unhappy. I wasn't making change. I made the decision that I was going to start. And that decision was the hardest decision because it came with a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt from within. There was a lot of self-doubt, but then there was a lot of doubt from outside as well. And so you have to make the decision today, like I made years ago. And I made the decision that I would help others transform their lives while building true wealth. What decision do you really need to make today that says this is the start to something new? This is the start to something amazing. I want to ask you, what about you? What have you been letting dictate your life that you're going to say ends today? What status quo are you holding on to? Are you hanging on to? What is the thing that you're like, today is a day I'm going to move forward. I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to make the change. Alice said so true. It's very, very true. If you could tell the seriousness in my voice, right? It is time for us to get serious. It's time to decide I'm no longer available for whatever it is that has been holding you back. Write it down, put it in the chat, just commit to saying, I am no longer available, because success isn't just about what you do, right? It's about what you refuse to tolerate. So, are you no longer available for burnout? Write that down. Like, if you're just tired, you're like, I'm no longer saying like I'm just making it through. Are you no longer available for waiting to be chosen? We're waiting for someone to pick you. You're like, I'm deciding to choose me. Are you no longer available for financial stress, where you're like, okay, this is the day I try to figure out really how I can gain financial freedom? This is on you. You decided, you showed up today, you want to do the work. So I want you to just take a second and write it down. Write down the things that you're no longer available for right now. And I want you to, if you want to share, go ahead, please share, but commit to yourself and say, these are the things that I no longer want to do. These are the things that I no longer want to tolerate. And as you're thinking about that, I just want you to just pause and appreciate the moment that even you writing it down, even you thinking it, even you put it in the chat, putting it in the comments, you're making a decision. And that means that you are already ahead of 99% of the world, because you're taking action today. We have talked about decision, about how you need to make that decision, how you need to commit, how you need to take action. Now, the next step I want us to do is to figure out how to design that expansion so that it happens automatically. So as you're thinking right now, as you've made the decision, as you've thought, these are the things I will no longer tolerate, how do we design it? And that's what we'll talk about next. So before we even start talking about it, right, I want you to know that willpower will fail. So if you're like, yeah, I got this, I'm doing this, at some point it will fail, because at some point you will get exhausted of pushing yourself, of motivating yourself. But systems win every time. So when you think about how you're going to design your success, when you think about how you're going to design taking action, when you think about how you're going to design and build that thing, remember that willpower will only get you so far, but systems will take you to the finish line and beyond. Most people believe that success is really all about willpower, that they just like I said, you think you need to try harder, but it is a lie. Success is about design. It's about creating the system that makes expansion inevitable. It makes expansion possible. It makes living that big life no longer a dream, but a reality, because you built the systems. And we spent a good bit of time talking about that in part 2. So that's what you have to start thinking about right now. So let me show you how you can design that life. The simple truth is that if you don't expand daily, if you don't do something that is moving you forward every day, you will contract, you will stagnate, you will not get better. It is just that simple. And so I created this something just very simple, and it's just the expansion habit, right? It's a 5-minute daily action that forces you to grow every single day. It's something simple that you do every day, that most successful people get into the habit of doing it so that it becomes routine. And I really want you guys to get fired up. I'm going to sit up in my chair. I want you to get fired up, because if you are doing the thing that you need to do every single day, I want you to know that success is inevitable. Expansion is going to happen. Growth will happen. But you have to make that decision that you're going to do it every day. Alice said, this month I've decided not to allow fear time to keep me from acting to change my financial state. I love that. And that's her making a commitment. That is her making a decision. And now we're going to design how that works. And one of the things that you have to do is this 5-minute habit where, think about it, right? Every day you do something that moves you closer to that goal, that takes you away from the financial state that you don't like. If your goal is wealth, then think about reading one page of a financial book every single day. Like, imagine what that would do in 90 days. Imagine what that would do for you in a month. If your goal is health, maybe you wake up and before you do anything, you just do 10 push-ups or 10 squats, even before your morning coffee, right? These are simple things. Sometimes when we think about changing, when we think about expanding, we make it so big, we make it so grand, but really it's something really, really simple. If your goal is confidence, right? Maybe you record a 60-second video that's sharing your thoughts. Maybe you put yourself out there. Maybe you get uncomfortable. It's that simple. If your goal is to get on stage, maybe you start booking podcasts. Maybe you create content on YouTube. Put yourself out there. It's not a big feat, right? It's something small that you do that pushes yourself. So I want you to write down one small habit that will force you to expand every day. Like, I'm challenging people to write it in the chat. I'm challenging people to just take a step. Like, what is that one small thing that you will do every day? Because when you decide to do that thing, I will say this, I promise you, you will be unstoppable. The question is, how do you stay unstoppable through resistance? And Lyric said, this year, I'm committing to changing my life financially and elevating myself. She's making the decision. She's saying, I'm putting myself out there. I'm going to do this. Now, let's be honest. Or let me be honest with you. Resistance will come. But when you make the decision, when you start designing that life, when you start doing something every single day for a tiny period of time, you will break through the resistance. So I want you to use this as an opportunity to grow and to figure out these things so that, like, you will then be able to grow. I want you to use this time, use this opportunity to ask questions, to start creating this life that you really want. This is the time. You showed up here tonight. Why not? Now, this is the part that is not as much fun, right? Because the moment you decide to expand, the moment that you decide to, like, today is the day, fear will try to pull you back. Fear and I used to be enemies. Now we're friends because I'm like, I'll feel the fear and I'll still do it anyways. And that's how I want you to start thinking. Fear will tell you, who do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are to step on stage? Who do you think you are to write that book? Who do you think you are to start that business? That's what fear will tell you. Fear will also ask you, what if I fail? Will all of this be in vain? What if people judge me? And to that I say, so what? Fear is loud. Fear is very loud, and fear can stop you in your tracks. But let me tell you something, right? The people who win are the ones who move forward anyways, who break the barriers of fear and say, I'm doing it anyways. So you feel the fear and you still do it. Those are the people who really win. Tell me, what is one fear that is keeping you stuck? What is that one thing that is like hindering you from making that decision, from designing your life, right? Write it down. This one, I really want you to write it down. Whatever it is, type it on your phone, but write it down. What is that one fear that is really stopping you? Is it, is it fear of failure? Is it fear of looking silly? Is it fear of, like, whatever it is, whatever that fear is for you? Is it fear of people, of the opinion of others? Write it down. Now that you have written it down, I want you to actually cross it off. I want you to just scratch it off, because it's important to look it in the face and still say, like, I'm not going to allow you to stop me. I want you to write this instead, right? I feel the fear and I move anyways. I feel the fear and I do it. I feel the fear and I still conquer whatever it is. And you can fill that in. But I want you to write that. I want you to cross off whatever fear it is that is stopping you from moving forward. We create this big fear in our minds and in our reality, but the truth is it's so small. And people are not as concerned about what you're doing. You just make it feel that way, maybe because we're a little bit self-absorbed. But I want you to, whatever that is, right? I want you to cross that off right now. I want you to know it, to own it, but then cross it off and say, I feel the fear and I move anyway. I feel the fear and I do it anyways. And imagine if you can write that, cross it off, and then believe it. Imagine if you can write that and share it with us, so that we know, so that then you know that like you're not the only one struggling with that fear, because I guarantee you a lot of us have felt that fear, the same fear that you're feeling, that you think you're an outcast. You're not the only one feeling it. You are at a choice point, right? You can either stay the same or you can expand. And sometimes when we make commitments to ourselves, it helps us take a step further into really following through. So wherever you wrote, like the action that you're taking, the decision that you're making, if you had a chance to print out the handout, I think we'll push the handout out again. But wherever you wrote that down, I want you to just write your name at the bottom and I want you to sign it. I want you to be fully committed to growing. I want you to be fully committed to expanding. And then when you write it, maybe you scribbled it down or you wrote it on your phone. But if you did, I actually want you to write it on a sheet of paper, put it on your wall, put it on the vision board, and tell yourself, I'm really committing to expanding. I'm committing to growing. I'm committing to going from where I am today to my next level of growth, to my next level of expansion. Waiting ends today. You can even write that down before you sign it, right? Waiting ends today. It ends tonight. I'm no longer waiting. I'm no longer saying someday. I'm making a decision right now. You made a decision and then you designed what that looked like. You designed the steps that you're going to take every day to commit to it. This might seem trivial to some, but trust me, if you write it down, if you commit to it, you only hold yourself accountable. You're the only person who can move yourself forward. So make the decision today and say, I'm committing to growth. I'm committing to my growth. I'm committing to when we set New Year's resolutions, right? The reasons why sometimes we don't follow through is because a year seems like forever, right? It's not as pressing to achieve those goals because you're like, I have a year, I have 12 months, I can get that done. And you think there's always tomorrow, there's always someday. We need to cancel those words from our vocabulary. But if you're here, then you know that we have killed that someday mentality. We've crossed it out. Cancel culture, it's not happening. We are saying no to someday. I want you to start thinking about 90 days. I want you to start thinking about 3 months, 12 weeks, 1/4 of the year. It doesn't sound like much, right? But if you set a goal for a 90-day period, the likelihood of you achieving it is so much higher. What if I told you that 90 days is all you really need to radically change your trajectory? Every major decision in my life, it started with one single decision, and then it was followed by 90 days of massive intentional action. Why can't that be your story? Why can't we go from a New Year's resolution of I'm going to do it before the end of the year to I'm going to do it before Q1 ends? And these are the steps I'm doing to get to that goal. I want to tell you this, and trust me, in just 90 days, you can lose 15 pounds. You can grow muscle. You can launch a business You can read 5 life-changing books in just 90 days. In 90 days, you can actually raise your income. In 90 days, you can completely change your mindset. In 90 days, you can set yourself up for a future that you never thought possible in just 90 days. Most of us underestimate what we think that we can do in a day, but we underestimate what we can do in 90 days or in 2 quarters. And that's why I want us to create our 90-day expansion plan. What will you do in the next 90 days to really move you forward, to move you closer to your goal, to move you closer to achieving what you want to achieve? You know, expansion isn't just about success in one area. It's about upgrading your entire life. And what I've learned is that one area of growth, it like trickles into every other area of growth in your life. So I want you to think about think and look at these 4 categories. Think wealth and career, health and energy, think impact and relationships, and then think personal mastery. So remember, I told you that we're doing tiny, we're doing small because we want this to last forever. We want daily actionable commitments to build consistency. So if I had to ask you, yes, you can actually, in all these 4 categories, right? You can expand your life and you can change something. But what do you need to do in one of these areas to help you expand in the next 90 days? One area. If you upgraded your life, right? If you picked one area and you upgraded it, what would that change look like? I want you to think about that, right? Most of us know that deep down, we know the exact area that we need to expand. And I know that like you already feel it in your gut. I want you to trust that because that's your sign. And let me also make this clear, right? When you pick one area that you want to start leveling up your life in, that one area, I feel like 1,000% sure that all the other areas will follow suit. So as you fix one area, as you grow in one area, as you impact one area, everything else will follow suit. So you might need to start with personal mastery, right? You might need to start with personal development and growth, and to be the person who can then achieve all the amazing things that you know that you're capable of. So today, I want you to write down just one category that you will commit to in the next 90 days. If you're focused on building a business, maybe then you focus on wealth and you focus on career. But if you're focusing on being the type of person who then, if you are looking for a mindset change, a significant mindset change, then you might need to focus on personal mastery. Or you might need to fix the relationship in your life right now in order for you to then be able to develop your personal mastery and then be able to develop your career and wealth and your health. See what I mean? They kind of all lend to each other. But what is that one area that you need to focus on right now? Okay, so I ask you questions, right? But I want us to turn it into something concrete. I want you to think about something that will get you out of bed really excited tomorrow. So think about it, right? In the next 90 days, what's that one thing that you will do? So in the next 90 days, I will. If you think about like wealth and career, right? In the next 90 days, you can say, I'm going to invest in something. In the next 90 days, I'm going to set up my brokerage account. If you think about wealth and energy, right? You could think in the next 90 days, I'm going to lose, 5 to 10 pounds, and I'm going to gain strength. So it's something that is doable, but you're going to see significant change and you're going to see significant improvement. If impact and relationship is something that you want to focus on in this next 90 days, then you can say in the next 90 days, I will connect deeply to my spouse, to my family. I will build the relationships that I need in order to really impact my life. That's a commitment you can make. And if personal mastery is something that you really want to go after in this next 90 days, then you can say, I will eliminate self-doubt. I will become unstoppable. And then you will take the steps to get there. Here's what's really powerful, right? The goal is now real. The goal is now really, really real. It's no longer a dream. We've taken it away from a dream. We've taken it away from someday. And we're now saying, now, this is what I'll do. These are the steps I'll take for the next 90 days to be able to succeed. That is what you're doing. That's the change that we're making. We're taking it out of dreams, and then we're bringing it into reality. This is where most people get stuck, right? They set this massive goal, they get overwhelmed, and then they never start. But that's not going to happen to us today. So instead, I want you to think of something called your minimum viable progress. So the smallest thing that you can do in order to make change happen. So instead of thinking in the next 90 days, if focus was wealth and career, instead of thinking, I'm going to launch my business and land 10 clients in 90 days, it could happen. But instead, why don't you just say, in the next 90 days, I'll create my LLC, and maybe I'll build my online presence, and I'll start posting 2 to 3 times a week. That's your minimum viable progress that you can make in order to then land your 10 clients. And so that if you don't get it in the first 90 days, you still did something to move you forward, to get you closer to your goal. So I want to give you examples because I really want to make this tangible, right? So tomorrow you can walk around and say, what is my minimum viable progress? Like, what is that thing that I'm doing? So if writing a book is something that you want to do, instead of saying, I'm going to write a book, because where are you even going to start? You might say, I'm going to write 200 words every morning. So that's doable. While you're drinking coffee or while you're going for a walk, you could just be writing and jotting down, or you can be recording. But instead of now saying, like, I'm just going to write the book, you're now making a decision that every single day, my minimum viable progress, my MVP, is I'm going to write 200 words. Instead of saying, I'm going to invest in real estate, right? Like, what does that mean? Your thought might be, or your commitment might be, I'm going to review one type of deal in a specific type of real estate market every day. So I'm going to look at maybe investing in apartment complexes, or investing in Airbnbs, or investing in storage, whatever it is, but you're going to look and review a deal every day so that it'll get you closer to investing in real estate. That's how I want you to start thinking about that. So instead of, the one that the trap we always get into is like, I'm going to get in shape. What does that mean? What if you say, I'm going to work out every day in the morning at 6 a.m. for 20 minutes, or I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to take a walk 5 days a week for 30 minutes. That's my MVP. So you just check it. I did it. What is the one smallest daily action that you can take that, if done consistently, if done over and over and over and over and over again, will generate success? What is that one thing? Write it down. I want you to write it down. What is that one tiny thing? And ladies and gentlemen, right, it doesn't have to be massive. It can just be one small thing that you're writing every single day, that you're saying, this is what I'm going to commit to. This is what I'm going to do. Big dreams are built on small daily actions. Hear me. Big dreams are built on very small daily actions. So if you nail one thing, success is inevitable every single day. That's how I want you to start thinking. In the next 90 days, I'll learn and start trading stock options, and then start looking to invest in real estate. Great. And that's what you're going to do in the next 90 days. You're going to learn how to trade stock options. I love that. That is you making a decision and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And then figure out, Alice, let me take it one step further. Figure out what your MVP is. What is that one thing that you're going to do every day? Whether it could be watch a YouTube video with this person who is like an expert in trading stock options. And then maybe at the end of the month, you might say, I'm going to try one. That could be something that you're going to commit to. But what is your MVP? What is that one thing that you're going to do that, like, if you do every single day, that success is going to happen? So let's talk about momentum, right? Expansion happens when we create daily rhythm that guarantees success. So I'm not talking about something, a genuine, a brand new idea, right? I'm talking about momentum. I'm talking about consistency. I'm talking about daily habits. I'm talking about daily rhythm. So this is not anything magical. But the most successful people, they have a ritual that locks in their progress every single day. And I want us to build ours. If you notice, all of this is building on itself. So we started with, to kind of sum up the entire 4 weeks, right? We started with a goal, and then we broke that goal down, and then we created systems on how to achieve it. And then we talked about how you can align your purpose with your passion and then give value to your ideal client. And now we're talking about what is the thing that you need to do every single day to make that dream a reality, to take that dream from just a dream to start making it real. I want you to write down, what does that one thing look like, right? So when you wake up in the morning, you have your goal, you have your plans. How will you set the tone for the day? In the next 90 days, I want to stand out as a top social media strategist and own my space. I'm committing to doing research every day and taking more courses to improve myself. I love that. That's what 90 days looks like. So you can wake up every single day and say, this is what I'm doing. I have it written down. I'm committing to it. I signed it. And this is how I'm going to make that happen. So for me, I'll share something small that I do every single day. And I'll pull it out because it's right here, right? And it's this. If you don't know by now, my favorite color is purple, but I wake up and I write in this journal every single morning, and it just sets the tone for the day, right? I reflect, and then it sets the tone for the day. So I know what I'm going to achieve that day. I know what I'm going to put all my energy into achieving. Part of that is writing like my big three. So the three things that I know, like if the day doesn't go as planned because life happens, what are the three things that I need to do to move me forward every day? So what could that ritual look like for you? You know, I want you to spend some time, and I'm creating space and time for you to be able to write these things down, for you to be able to take action. What time, what time will you do your MVP, right? How will you track progress? And we're going to talk about tracking progress because I'm going to help you out and give you something at the end. But how will you track what you succeeded in, what you accomplished, the daily tasks that you did every day? Think about your ritual as your anchor. It helps, like, if you protect it, your success is guaranteed. If you devote to it, if you put the energy and the time and remain consistent, then it's guaranteed. If you're thinking about it, right, I just shared with you what my daily commitment is. What is your daily commitment? What could you commit to every day to move you forward? And I just really appreciate the people who are like lighting up the comment section, who are really talking and who are really taking it a step forward. You are encouraging even me, to be like, okay, these are the things that you're going to do in the next 90 days. This is how you're going to break it down. These are the steps that you're going to take. And I am absolutely loving it. So, right, it's time to lock it in. We just built this 90-day extension plan. We broke it down. We talked about your MVP, and then we broke your MVP down into what you're going to do every day. And at the end of the day, you have to make the commitment to yourself, right? Again, this is the moment where you say, not next week, not next year, now. You're officially in that 90-day period, right? The first month is over, and you're starting another month. And now think about 90 days from now. Think about what you could do. Think about what you could achieve if you go all in. So if you're, if you're half asleep, I want you to wake up and I want you to write yes in the comments. Yes, I'm going all in. Yes, I'm doing this. Yes, I'm committing to my MVP, to my daily ritual. I'm doing it. I'm saying yes. And I'm starting today. I want you to know the one thing is that you have to build on it, right? You have to start today. You have to take action. You have to commit to it. That's what we're building today. That's what this session looks like. It's like, I'm saying yes to moving forward. I'm saying yes to committing. I'm saying yes to taking action. Okay. So I want you to kind of pause and just like reflect on what you've done so far, right? Look at where you started when you came in today, and look at where you are now. Look at how you have allowed your mind to expand and to grow and to make commitments to yourself. Your thoughts and your mindsets are different from like an hour ago, right? You're now the kind of person who can set goals, who can actualize them, who can turn your purpose and your passion into a vehicle for success. You're now that person. You're no longer the person that is waiting. You're no longer the person that's saying someday. You are the person that is taking action, and you're doing it today. You now have that breakthrough idea, that breakthrough formula. You now have what you're going to do the next 90 days. You now have the tools that will guarantee you success. Now, the only question that you're going to ask is, what are you going to do with it? How will you start to actualize what you've written down? How will you start to actualize everything? So right now, right, you feel really powerful. You're inspired. You're ready. You're like, I'm going to do this. But the hard truth is that even here, the people who showed up, people who are excited, maybe 85% of you will walk away and you'll not take action. Even if I've like cheered you on up, hyped you up. And it's not because you don't want to change. And it's not because you don't think it's possible, but it's because tomorrow you will let life happen and your normal routine will pull you back into old patterns. But I really just want to encourage and I want to empower you that should not be your story, right? I want you to today decide to lock in the habits that will make success happen. You'll go from like a really high, and I just really want you to stay there, to try your best, to get an accountability partner. I want you to look at the contract that you signed with yourself. I want you to think about the decision you made, how you designed it. I want you to think about your MVP, what you're going to do every day, and then your daily rituals. If you think about that, if you focus on that, if you write it down and you commit to it, you have a higher chance and a higher likelihood not to be that 85% of people who just decide to just like let this go. So I want you to protect your expansion, right? So you have to be, I said in the beginning, some of us sometimes are self-absorbed, but I think that you need to protect what you're building. And that comes with three things, right? I need you to like be committed. It's commitment, it's community, and it's consistency. It's the same things I've been saying every day. When I think about commitment, right, I want you to think about burning the ships. So burn the ships. Know that like there's no other way to get to land because you're not relying on that boat, right? Burn the bridges that connect your new self with your old self. I want you to burn that. I want you to make success the only option that you have. If you were honest with yourself, right, what is the biggest sacrifice that you're willing to make in order to ensure that success happens? For some, right, it might be walking away from a comfortable job to start something new. What is that one thing that you're like, I am okay with leaving in order to embrace this new me, the new me that is going to take on, the new me that is going to be successful in the things that I'm doing, right? And I want you to think community. We were never meant to do this alone. It's not easy to do it alone. You move further and faster when you have people that are pushing you, when you have people that are supporting you, when you have people that are encouraging you. And there's no other way to say it, but you need almost an expansion circle, right? People who hold you accountable and who keep you moving forward. We built the Expansive Circle community so that you're not in isolation, so that you don't have to tackle this by yourself. So you don't have to go after your big goals and step into your purpose alone. You have people who are on the same journey. You have people who, I think I said that this first and second session, that when you tell me your goals, they should not scare me. They should encourage me, because my goals should scare you, because my goals are going to be bigger than your goals. But you shouldn't tell your goals to people who are like, are you kidding me? Like, how can I make this happen? This is like, how can you make this happen? Like, this is not possible. Those are not the people you want to be sharing your goals with. Those are not the people that you should be asking to be in your circle of accountability. So who do you want in your extension circle? Right now, I want you to pull out your phone or even put it in the chat, right? But text one person right now and tell them what you're gonna do. Like tell them your 90-day goal. Alice, Lyric, they put it in the comments already, so they've told me. But like if you are in this call and you've been quiet, just tell one person, this is what I'm going to commit to. This is what I'm going to do. I want you to make it real. And sometimes if we don't say it, if we don't vocalize it, if we don't voice it out, it just might remain in our head, and then our fears are going to squash it. So who can hold you accountable today, right? And if you join the community, when you join the community, we can hold you accountable. And so you can put the things that you're struggling with, the way you want to grow, how you want us to keep you accountable, and we will do that. And you can even build accountability partners inside of the community. But that's what community looks like, right? And the third thing is consistency. I need water. Small actions create big results. Small actions will win every single time. Success is not about intensity, it's about consistency. Success is not about intensity. It's not how hard you can work. It's about consistency. It's about doing the same thing every single day. Even on the days that you don't feel like it, you decide to show up anyways. That is what consistency looks like. And that's what expansion looks like. So think commitment, think community, and think consistency. Decide today, what is that one non-negotiable habit that you're going to do daily, no matter what? That's how you stay consistent. That's how you make the decision that you're going to move, that you're going to grow. Okay, so I don't want to leave you here feeling inspired, right? And then stop there. I want you to leave with a plan in your hands, just something that you can take and that you can write and you can see and you can keep yourself accountable. And that's why I created something that I think will really generate and guarantee your success. And that is the 90-day expansion blueprint. So we're going to put it in the handout section for you to download, for you to print. And if you, for some reason, don't get it, don't worry. When I send the recording, you will have access to it. But the whole purpose behind this blueprint is really to just actualize everything that we've talked about today and help you, kind of give you the space to write, to think, to create, and then be able to look at it every day as a daily reminder to help you grow. So it'll walk you step by step through your 90-day action plan. It'll walk you step by step through your daily success rituals. And then you will have accountability checkpoints, right? Of where to go, what to do next. And then you'll also have like powerful mindset shifts that will help you stay unstoppable. So make sure you download it right now, but this will be your step-by-step executionable guide. Like this is your execution guide to help you take you to the next level. I will say this, right? This might start with you. It might be late where people are around the country, around the world. So maybe it starts with you tomorrow morning, taking the time to fill this out, to fill out the blueprint, and then think about how you can take action on what you have committed to. It is that simple. If you do it, if you write it, if you commit to it, you are more likely to achieve it. This can be what you put on your vision board, what you put on your wall, or what you put on your desk, or even take a picture of it on your phone and remind yourself. You can put it as your screensaver on your phone. Those are just the ways that you can take this one step level, because at the end of the day, you are committing to yourself. So what's next, right? I mentioned the Expansive Circle community, and I want you to join the movement. If what I talked to you about today hit you differently, if you know that you are ready for the next level, then this is your chance to keep expanding. You don't just need motivation, right? You need a system that keeps you locked in every single time. And that's why I created the Expansive Circle. It's where we go beyond just inspiration and we start building real results. It's taking what we learned today and the commitments you made and then start making it real. So this is your chance to be in a room with powerful, like-minded people who are committed to growth, who are committed to making a difference, who are committed to change. The Expansive Circle is more than just a community. It's a movement. It's a space that is designed really for ambitious, goal-driven individuals who are ready to break free from all sorts of limitations, who want to build wealth, who want to create a life that is filled with purpose, that's filled with freedom, that's filled with success. The things that we talked about today, the ways that you're going to take action, this is it. So if you are really serious about making the next 90-day count, right? If you've made that decision, then I will empower you and encourage you to join the circle today, to make that decision that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start it today. And so you might be wondering, okay, why should I join, right? It is an opportunity to really unlock personal growth and development. You will gain truly transformational tools, strategies, and the mindset shifts to help you achieve some of your biggest goals, the goals that you committed to today, the goals that went from dream to reality. You will be able to start getting the mindset shifts to be able to achieve those goals. You will have opportunity to have investment and wealth building strategies. So you will learn how to grow, how to protect wealth with the insights that we talk about, whether it's real estate, whether it's business, and also think about bringing in financial experts to help us grow. We will have exclusive courses, we'll have master classes where you can expand your knowledge with like sessions on leadership, on investing, on personal growth, and entrepreneurship. And that's just a small list, right? Because as part of the community, I said it in the beginning, which is I want feedback. So you tell me what areas you want to grow. You tell me the things that you need to be able to succeed, and we will make it happen. We will have daily check-ins, we'll have discussions on topics that help us grow. So think mindset, think entrepreneurship, think starting a business, think writing a book, whatever it is, think building a course, think whatever it is that you need. We will have discussions about it on a weekly basis, and then we'll take it a step further. We will also have private accountability groups where you then surround yourself with like high-level thinkers who will challenge you, who will support you and inspire you to take action. Those are some of the reasons why you should join. And then you'll have, we have a large webinar library. So everything that we have talked about, every way that we have grown, all the things that we've created, think our ebooks, think all the workbooks, think all the templates that you need, whether it's a template that you need to start something, we will have access to it. So think about it as like the ultimate space for those people who are really serious of stepping into their full potential and designing a truly expansive life. This is the place for you. This is the place for you to grow, to cultivate that, to encourage yourself to continue to do it every day. So we have a founding member opportunity, and it is going to be closing out very soon. But for the first 50 members who join, you will get a full year access for free to the community. Just use the code founder when you join. And I'm pretty sure that my team is 10 out of 10, and they put the link for you to join in. So this is it, right? This is the moment. This is the line in the sand. You either stay the same or you expand. 1 year from now, right? You'll either be living a bigger, bolder, wealthier, freer life, or you'll be watching someone else do it and wondering, why didn't I start? The choice is yours. There's no more waiting. There's no more excuses. It's just decision time. It's expansion time. So I just want to ask you, are you ready? Wherever you are, I want you to say it with me, and I want you to really mean this. And it is simple. It is no more waiting. That's it. No more waiting. No more waiting until tomorrow. No more waiting until someday. No more waiting until next week. No more waiting until some next year. No more waiting until I figure this thing out. No more waiting. You have all the tools you need. Remember, I told you, a lot of this is innate. you're already ambitious. You showed up here. You spent over an hour with me this evening. You have the tools that you need. So I just want you to commit and say it again. No more waiting. If you're even thinking, how do I start? What does transformation look like? I want you to join the community and we'll figure it out together. All the things that I've learned, I would love to share it with you. Areas of growth, areas of transformation. It's better to do it together and it's better to do it in community. So I want to say thank you. If you have any questions at all, I want you to drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat, drop it in the questions. I would definitely reach out. So as I wrap up, still you can toss questions and I'll answer questions in a second, but thank you for spending the past 4 weeks with me. It has been a wonderful time for me. I have grown a lot just by being able to curate what we talked about. And I've also done the things that I've asked of you, I've done them myself, and I've seen significant growth in how I approach life every single day. I hope that you are making a commitment today to no more waiting. Someday needs to be now, and someday needs to be today, and that taking action starts now. So thank you so much again. Thank you for your time. I have really enjoyed it, and for everyone who has kind of joined and who has engaged, it's been wonderful. Isaiah says, I commit to growth and expansion. No more waiting. That's right. No more waiting. I tried joining in the past, but it seems it was for investors with deep pockets. Okay, so great. No, it's not. So it is truly a community where we want to come together and learn and grow. And investing will eventually become something that like you learn how to do. Like you said, Alice, you're already starting with figuring out stock options, and you're already starting to get excited about real estate. So it's for everyone who is excited to grow, who's excited to expand their lives, and who's excited to make a difference. So 100%. And I'm so glad that you said that, because you're not the only person thinking that. So someone else might be thinking like, this isn't for me. And that's not true. When you come in, you'll see that there are people in different stages and people who just want to grow and who want to help others do the same. So Alice, I think you would benefit so much from it. So I definitely encourage you to join. And thank you for bringing that up. So if anybody has any other questions, I will keep the chat open. Thank you for the ability to impact knowledge. I'm leaving this webinar a transformed person. Yay. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So if I'm going to wait because I still see some people typing, so I'll give them a second. But use this opportunity, right? At the end of the day, you're making the commitment to yourself. You're making the commitment to changing. Thank you for this knowledge. Very inspiring. They have a blessed night, rest, and weekend. Thank you. Thank you for the efforts and times you've put into the past 4 weeks. I commit to growth and expansion. Love it. So everyone, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for engaging. This has been wonderful. And remember, no more waiting. Have a wonderful evening.